question for Book Talk. How do you feel about naming a specific diagnosis or mental health issue a character is going through? I recently finished a book, a YA survival thriller with a supernatural twist, and as someone who is not a licensed professional and just is a girl who's interested in psychology, in my opinion, the main character clearly had OCD, although that was never explicitly stated on the page. So let's break it down. Her internal conflict is she feels broken, and that is because of how other people have reacted when she is open about her thoughts and the way her brain works and how that is concerning for other people. External conflict, she's kind of deserted on this island with two other girls, and they need to escape because someone starts to come after them. She never stops thinking about the worst case scenario and what would happen and what would be the most likely reason for her or someone she loves to die in any given circumstance. But this ends up being really helpful in their thriller, gotta survive the woods and a killer scenario. She does end up opening up to the other girls about the way her brain works, and it's kind of cheesy, but they accept her for it because they're like, yeah, this is your superpower. And it rubbed me the wrong way, but it still was not like the worst case of that I feel like I've read before. Because all three of the girls had something that they had shame about or were self-conscious for that helped them survive. But the main character, hers was the only one rooted in like mental health. The main character also has multiple panic attacks where she ends up passing out, which I feel like I would also do in a situation where I am stranded in the woods with no way out. But it's also referenced that she does this like in her regular life too. And what she's going through is never labeled as panic attacks or anxiety or OCD. In the end, like, her inner struggle is resolved because she has a moment where she decides she's going to tell her parents that she doesn't want them to treat her like she's fragile or a little kid anymore, or that she can't handle things. And she realizes that she's not broken, this is just the way her brain works. Which is great, but ultimately what message does that send? This isn't an OCD, anxiety, or panic attack, like, acceptance story. If the author had actually mentioned those things, I would have felt seen and represented. But instead, it felt slightly enabling and kind of problematic. And I really wanted to like this book. I liked all the three main girls and like how they survived and how they became friends. It felt like they had a really strong bond, and in everything else, the characters felt grounded. But when I finished it, I was just kind of left wondering, are her new friends still gonna think the way how she's constantly thinking about dying? Are they gonna think that's cute once they're safe and isn't saving them like every other page? Do you ever think about dying? Barbie thing, which honestly I relate so hard. But aside from her panic attacks, which honestly don't have any crucial part in like, hey, you can't pass out and have a panic attack in the middle of like, we're trying to run away from somebody who's trying to kill us. They always happen at very convenient times where they're already safe. And I just feel like it doesn't sit well with me that her constant thoughts about dying and statistics of like who's most likely to survive, they're never portrayed as harmful to her. It makes a nice little allegory that the author can tie up in a bow. This is YA. It just kind of comes across as OCD is so coquette. Wow, it helps me not die. I count everything when I'm stressed. Very mindful. When in reality, OCD is not cute. It can be debilitating. And I don't really want to debate whether or not this character has OCD, anxiety, or panic attacks. That was my interpretation of the character. But I just kind of wanted to bring this up as a broader issue. So yeah. What do you think? Do authors have a responsibility to label things that are like clear representation? And I just wanted to add real quick, I also think it would have been nice if this book had had a content warning for OCD or just mental health issues. For me, like, it wasn't overly graphic or anything like that. I do feel like it's appropriate for YA. But also, as someone who has been diagnosed with OCD, I know I'm not always in the headspace to read about it. So that just would have been nice. It did take me a little bit longer to finish the book because of that. Had to take a little break. But yeah, I wish my obsessive thoughts could be as accurate as the main characters at depicting real danger. Because it's more like this. This scene in Supernatural where Dean screams his head off about a sweet little kitty. Yeah. It's more like, ah! Over nothing. Or things that OCD is saying, like, trying to get me to believe are real, but they're not. I don't know. You can look more up about OCD yourself. I don't feel like explaining everything.